Ron Reagan, a pal of the show, and the son of former President Ronald Reagan, he caused quite a controversy after writing in his new book that his father may have shown early signs of Alzheimer's during his presidency. With me now to set the record straight is Ron Reagan, author of the new memoir, My Father at 100. It's so nice to have you here in person.
It's so
You're
nice
always
to see
out
you.
there.
Yes, not framed in a little box.
Yeah. But, you know, the book is controversial, even though mostly it's about your life with your father, and it's a kind of it's a historical sort of document, too, because you were there.
Yes.
You know, and yet the controversy is what's really sparking.
Yes, well, maybe it'll sell more books. Who knows? But
well,
that
that's
wasn't
the
my
accusation.
That is. That wasn't my intention. I just knew that I was going to have to deal with Alzheimer's in some way because, after all, he died of it. And once I decided that, I had to do it as honestly as I could. I think some of the controversy, if you will, or misunderstanding, it comes from a confusion between Alzheimer's, the disease, and dementia, which is a symptom of the disease, which usually arrives in the later stages. Knowing what we know now about Alzheimer's, that it's a process that extends for years, even decades before symptoms arise, it's a kind of academic question as to whether the disease was present when my father had. So you were basically saying he must have had it because he ended up with it. One can deduce that the disease must have been present, but I say specifically that I saw no dementia-like signs when he was in office. You didn't see dementia, but what did you say? You know, every once in a while, let's recall that this is the oldest president ever elected at the time. By the
How old was he when he was elected?
He was just about 70. So by the time he reaches his mid-70s, you know, he's losing his hearing. He's been shot and nearly killed, which will take a little of the wind out of your sails. And of course, I'm worried about him all the time because he's in a very tough job and it's a lot of stress and all that kind of thing. And every once in a while, I would see it almost like you're watching television and it momentarily goes out of focus and then snaps back. And you think, what did I just see? But I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I was concerned about him for all sorts of reasons, the shooting not least of that. But again, I just deduce that it's, in retrospect, it's possible that some of those things were early signs of Alzheimer's, but I don't know, and I don't really make that claim. No, of course. Well, you're not a doctor, so you don't really... No, I can't diagnose. Yeah. I mean, I was saying on we were talking about this on my other show, I think, or here, I can't remember, and we were saying, you know, during the Iran-Contra thing, when he was on the stand, I remember him saying, I don't remember. Yes, this was after he left the presidency, actually. Yeah, and I thought to myself, he's making that up. He remembers. But maybe now I think he didn't remember. I think that by that time he didn't remember. No. You know? That's true. Now, and there's another part of this story that has emerged, which is the Cain and Abel story, or should I call the half Cain and Abel, because Michael Reagan is only half a brother of yours? Yes, I don't think of it that way. Father, even though he was adopted and you're biological, right? Yes, I just think of him as my brother and always have. But, you know. But he's tweeted this. My brother was an embarrassment to his father when he was alive, and today he became an embarrassment to his mother. Nasty stuff. First of all, did he talk to your mother? No, not that I'm aware of. I spoke to her night before last when I heard all of this stuff, and I said to her, look, you know, somebody's going to ask me if you've read the book and what you think of it, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, unlike some other people, so tell me, what should I say when they ask? And she said, you tell them that I read it, I loved it, it made me cry, and I'm very proud of you. Well, that's nice. Yeah, so when the news first broke that you said that he had Alzheimer's, I remember your mother's, there was a statement put out, true or false, and she said, I wish he hadn't done that. You know, I wish he had kept that quiet and not really done this because it sort of sullies the image of President Reagan. I don't recall that, but I read that somewhere, so well, okay. It could have been just, you know, somebody said that and it was not true. Yeah, all right. I don't recall that. But. Yeah, and also, we were saying this before, how do you answer the charge that you wrote this about your father to sell the book? Oh, no, really, it's very little of the book, and most of the book is an exploration of his character, really, by going back into his early life. Again, I take him to the end of his life, and he died of Alzheimer's, so I have to deal with it. You have to say it. And once you deal with it, the question of whether he had it in office is going to arise. I don't think you're the first person to think of that either. Plenty of people have said it. No, of course not. I was a little surprised that people are treating this as some kind of, you know, new revelation. Exactly.
So let's talk about it's interesting to me. You're a liberal. Your sister Patty is a liberal, and your father is famously a conservative.
Of course.
How did you guys turn out so bad? What happened?
I don't know. There was something in the water that year or something like that. It was the 60s. It was the 70s. Who doesn't disagree with their parents sometimes about politics and stuff? That didn't seem too remarkable.
Did you have fights with them because of it? Is it when your brother says that you were an embarrassment to your father when he was alive? Is that what he means?
I don't know what Mike means there, actually. My father never expressed anything like that to me. So I'm not sure what Mike was talking about.
Yeah.
But no, we would argue, though. We'd argue over the Vietnam War, environmental issues. But it was amicable enough. We'd take each other to the mat because we're both, we know our own minds and all that sort of thing. But we were always friends. We didn't, there was
Wasn't
no
there a time when
animosity.
Patty was not speaking to the parents and stuff? She didn't talk to somebody.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that happens in families. You kind of go in and out and all that stuff.
Your mother once told you that the president said you made him feel stupid. Do you think you did?
I used to argue with him, of course, and she did tell me that at one time. I believe this was actually before he was in the White House. She just said, he said you make him feel stupid. I think she was trying to tell me, don't be so tough on your dad when you argue with him.
But a lot of times I noticed that this victimhood in the white male conservative against the liberals is, oh, you think I'm stupid. They respond like that, like the liberals think they're so smart. The New York Times, the elite.
Right.
So maybe he was responding as a conservative to a liberal.
I don't think so much that. No. I think he was just a little frustrated that he couldn't convince me of his point of view in just about everything. He thought if he had you alone for 5 minutes, you'd come out thinking just like he does. And I imagine he was a little frustrated that it didn't work with
It's nice that he didn't say, my son is stupid. He makes me seem stupid. It's better.
Well,
that's kind of nice. Not like that Chinese...
and he wasn't stupid.
That Chinese, way of... I know he wasn't. The Chinese way of raising children. What's her name? Chua, the tiger mom, who says to the kid, you're garbage. I think she's coming on this show. I can't wait to meet her. Okay, we'll have more with Ron Reagan after a short break. I'm serious. She's coming on. I am back with Ron Reagan. Now, let's talk about Dick Cheney for a second. I saw him, I think it was this morning. Yes, I'm afraid we're going to... Well, he keeps popping up.
He does.
The man has had 5 heart attacks. Take a rest.
I know. He's like some little Gollum figure that keeps coming out.
I love that. But, he says the most annoying things. You just want to smack him. He says he worries that President Obama does not have the same commitment to terrorism
he worries that,
as George Bush had. Now... Hillary Clinton.
Remind me when 9/11 happened? Whose watch was that?
It was on the George Bush watch.
Yeah, and they ignored the warnings just to refresh everybody's memory about that.
Wasn't it? How did it say? Al Qaeda.
Al Qaeda determined to attack in America, and the details of that was they're planning to use airplanes. It was like, I'm on vacation now. Whatever. Yeah, we'll deal with that later. Yeah.
I know. I love when Giuliani says no terrorist attack ever occurred on Bush's watch. Hello.
Just hello. Rewrite history.
Yeah.
Get me rewrite.
But anyway, Cheney's saying that Obama is not as good as
that he's
George
not really
Bush.
committed to protecting the country. What an ugly thing to say about any president.
Is that a treasonous offense to say something like that?
Well, I don't know about that. It's an offense of stupidity.
Doesn't that give comfort to the enemy when you say that?
Well, we can pretend it does.
Well, I mean, let's say I'm Osama bin Laden, I'm sitting in my cave smoking a cigar, and I hear, Dick Cheney says that this guy's not really on the case. Good, let's try something.
Well, possibly. You have to keep in mind that Dick Cheney is and I like to pronounce his name correctly, Cheney. Dick Cheney is an unindicted war criminal. Basically, he presided over a policy of torture in this country, and torture is against our laws and against international covenants we have signed. We are actually obligated as a nation to prosecute people who have committed torture. You know who signed the covenant against torture originally back in the 1980s, a U.S. president?
Ronald Reagan.
Exactly. He called it an abhorrent, and he meant it.
Now, Hillary Clinton responded.
Yes,
Secretary Hillary Clinton. Let's watch.
Okay.
I was certainly taken aback by it. I don't know how anyone who was in the White House before or now could doubt any president's absolute commitment to stopping the terrorists from attacking us. I don't think it's useful to make such a statement, and I certainly reject it completely.
Okay, so she spoke out against it, which is good for the country. You hate to hear somebody say that, I think.
Absolutely.
Right.
It was an offensive thing for him to say, actually.
Maybe Cheney could, take over for Regis. I'm looking for
that's a ratings
yeah.
kind of
Yeah. So let's talk about Sarah Palin for a minute, even though she's over talked about, I think. But her unfavorability rating is at an all-time high. 56% do not like her now, which changed. She used to be more popular. But 38% still hold a favorable view.
Which is remarkable.
Who are those people?
I don't know. Those same people who don't believe evolution, occurred.
Do you think that she's done politically?
Yes, I do, actually. I think she did herself in when she released that rather snarky defensive statement after the Tucson shooting. I think people saw the contrast between that, her, vapidity, and then Barack Obama coming out the next day with this very eloquent, very thoughtful kind of take on the situation there. And I think people saw those two things together and they went, no, we're not going with this one.
Well, it almost felt like she thought of herself as one of the victims of the tragedy.
Exactly. She's always
It's like
victim,
they kill a 9-year-old kid.
Yeah. And
they kill other people. They put poor Congresswoman in the hospital.
Right.
And she's the victim.
That's right. Poor Sarah Palin.
Poor Sarah
How
Palin.
much must she be suffering with this? Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
no, she's done.
She's done. I think it's put a fork in her. She's
yes,
done.
I think she may run. I can't, it's all about money, I think.
But the Republicans don't speak out against her because they still need her constituency to vote for them.
That 38%, apparently. I'm amazed that it's that high. I thought it would be down, maybe 20, 15%, something like that.
No, not yet. It will be, though, soon. Anyway, thanks very much for doing this. I appreciate it so much. The book is called My Father at 100. We'll be right back. Want to sign my book?
Yes, I do.